Hello students, welcome to Veda Gate Academy. In the previous session, we have started with the effects of nonlinearities and we have seen the differences between non-magnetic materials and magnetic materials. And we got some conclusions. And after that, if you are taking a non-magnetic material, the machine becomes linear. Whereas if you are considering the core is designed with a magnetic material or iron, then the transformer or machine becomes non-linear in nature. Okay. Now, in this today's session, we will try to focus on what are the effects of non-linearities. So far, we have seen the differences between a non-magnetic material and magnetic materials, and we understand some differences. Now, we will try to see what are the effects of non-linearities. Because if I am designing the core with a magnetic material called iron, then my machine becomes non-linear. Now, once if you consider that non-linear effect into consideration, how it will affect on the transformer performance is our focus today. Okay, so let us try to focus on that. So, we are trying to discuss about the effects of non-linearities. Effects of non-linearities. Right. So, in order to understand this, okay, first I will give a small idea. For suppose, if I am trying to consider a transformer, let us assume this is my transformer core. Okay, if I am considering this is my transformer core, and this transformer core on this limb we are trying to wound one winding, and let us consider this is primary winding having N1 number of turns, and this is my second winding on the second limb, and let us assume this is having N2 number of turns, and here we are connecting this to a ideal voltage source, okay, or infinite bus bar. So the applied voltage is V1, which is a pure sinusoidal in nature. This is a pure sinusoidal applied voltage, right? Now here maybe it may be connected to a load or whatever it may be. So now here, because of this one, it will draw a magnetizing component of current from the source, and because of this magnetizing component of current which is flowing through this winding, obviously if you apply right hand thumb rule, you are going to get the flux, and we know the direction of the flux. So the direction of the flux within this particular core will be in this direction. So this is my direction of main field flux. Yes or no? Right. Now the moment if this flux is linking with N1 turns, you are going to get induced EMF in the primary winding E1. Similarly, the same flux will be linking with the secondary winding having N2 number of turns. So you are going to get induced EMF in the secondary winding E2. Now our major focus is, while designing this transformer, okay, in power system networks, so we need to design the transformer in such a way that the induced EMF in the primary and secondary winding must be as pure sinusoidal as possible. Okay, as pure sinusoidal as possible. Okay, because in reliable power system there is one important factor which will decide the reliability of the power system, that is total harmonic distortion. Total harmonic distortion. We need to design the power system in such a way that the total harmonic distortion should be as minimum as possible. In order to minimize the total harmonic distortion, always we need to make sure that the induced EMF in the windings must be as pure sinusoidal as possible. Now my question is, in order to induce the EMFs as sinusoidal as possible, that means if I want to get the induced EMF in the primary and secondary winding as pure sinusoidal as possible, now can you tell me, these induced EMFs in the primary and secondary winding are induced because of flux linkages. Okay, so that means if I want to get induced EMFs as pure sinusoidal as possible, the flux linking with the windings must be pure sinusoidal. Of course, with some phase angle difference will be there. Pure sinusoidal, right? Are you following? Now, in order to produce the next point, okay, this flux is produced because of the magnetizing current, right? Now, in order to get pure sinusoidal induced EMF in the primary and secondary, the flux linking with these windings must be pure sinusoidal. And in order to produce the pure sinusoidal flux, the next question that is coming into our mind is, what is the shape of this magnetizing current? What is the shape of this magnetizing current? So, now we will try to understand what is the shape of this magnetizing current with respect to a non-magnetic material as well as with respect to a magnetic material. Okay, now for suppose if I am considering a non-magnetic material, okay, so if I am considering a non-magnetic material, As we know that in the previous session we have discussed if you are considering a non-magnetic material, for a non-magnetic material, the mission becomes linear mission or non-linear mission. Already we have seen that, okay, for a non-magnetic material, the mission is linear mission. So that means you are going to get only I phi I relation. So you won't get a dipole flux, right? So if you are taking a non-magnetic material, the mission is linear mission. If you consider the mission is a linear mission, and if I try to draw the BH characteristics of this mission, okay, so let us assume that this is B, okay, and this is H. Let me consider this is BH characteristics, right? So this is B and this is H. Let me extend this slightly. Right. So if I try to draw the BH characteristics of this non-magnetic material, obviously you are going to get the BH characteristics as a linear BH characteristics. Okay, so you are going to get the linear BH characteristics as shown here. So this is the linear graph what we are going to get. So even in fact here B is also replaced with flux, B is also replaced with flux, H is also replaced with magnetizing current. That means how my flux is varying with respect to magnetizing current will be shown by these BH characteristics. Because how I can able to replace B with flux? We know that flux density is equal to flux per unit area of cross section of the core, right? And for a given transformer, that means if the design of the transformer is over, I can say the area of cross section will be remain same. So from here I can say that my B is directly proportional to flux. So I can say that instead of y-axis of indicating B, I can even replace with flux. Similarly, we know that the MMF H is equal to, sorry, H, magnetic field strength, H is equal to MMF divided by length of the core. And we know that the MMF is equal to number of turns into magnetizing current divided by length. So once if I design the transformer, construction is over, I can say that the number of turns will be remain same and length of the magnetic core will be remain same. So from here I can say that my MMF H is directly proportional to, sorry, H is directly proportional to I mu. So that is the reason even on x-axis either I can indicate with H or I mu. So now if I try to consider a linear mission, okay, where I am designing air core transformer, consider air core transformer. Air core transformer is obviously a linear transformer or linear mission. So if you try to draw the BH characteristics, you will get a linear graph. That means if current is increased by 10%, the flux produced by that linear mission is also increased by 10%. Are you following what I am saying? Right. Now what is the shape of this? What is our interest here? Our interest is not to focus on this. Let me remove this. These are not necessary for us. Okay. Right. Now if you try to see here, our focus is what is the shape of this magnetizing current in order to produce a sinusoidal flux. To get a sinusoidal flux, what is the shape of the I mu that is required? Now, what is the shape I require? The shape of the flux what I require is sinusoidal shape. Let me assume that this is the flux waveform. This is the flux waveform which is a pure sinusoidal. Accept that even though it is not in the pure sinusoidal form, please accept me. I am weak in drawing the diagrams. So, we can assume this flux is a sinusoidal flux. Now, if you observe here, I have indicated this flux on x-axis. Okay, but x-axis is a I mu, but I have drawn this, so you may have a confusion that I have drawn the flux on x-axis, right? But the point you need to understand here is the reflection of these flux points at any time. Let us assume this is with respect to the time. Let me slightly change this. Yeah, just hold on a second. Yeah. This is my operating flux which is pure sinusoidal and I am drawing this with respect to time omega t. Now at omega t equal to 0 the flux is 0. At omega t equal to pi by 2 the flux is maximum. That means if you observe here, the reflected points of this flux onto the y-axis will give you the flux magnitudes only. If you try to see the reflected points of this shape, okay, the reflected points of this particular shape will be coming on y-axis and this y-axis will give you the corresponding magnitude. Exactly at this instant of time, at exactly omega t equal to pi by 2, I can say the flux is maximum. Yes or no? That reflected point of this shape onto this y-axis will give you the corresponding magnitude. So even though if I am drawing this flux shape on x-axis, but the reflected points of this shape will come on y-axis, which will represent the magnitude of those flux points at different instants of time. Right? Now what I need to do, I need to get this flux as sinusoidal. In order to get this pure sinusoidal flux, what is the shape of the magnetizing current? That means what I have to do, I need to reflect these points onto the shape, because the BH characteristics of this linear mission, or the mission which is using a non-magnetic material, is linear in shape. So if it is a linear shape, okay, if this flux magnitude at this point at omega t equal to pi by 2, if the flux magnitude is maximum, the corresponding current magnitude is also maximum. That means at omega t 0, if I reflect this point, okay, onto the x-axis, this is the origin point. So the corresponding current is also 0 you are going to get. What I am doing is I am trying to draw the current on y-axis. Okay, so that means what will happen, reflected points of the shape of I mu becomes the magnitudes which are coming on x-axis at different instants of time. You will understand once if you draw this graph. So at omega t equal to 0, what is the flux magnitude? 0. Obviously the current magnitude is also equal to 0, because this is linear BH characteristics, so you are going to get 0. Exactly at omega t equal to pi by 2, the flux is maximum flux, and if I reflect this, you are going to get the current is also maximum. So if you observe 0 to pi by 2, the flux is increasing in a linear fashion. So because since it is a linear shape, obviously my current, magnetizing current, is also increases in a linear fashion. And again from pi by 2 to pi, what will happen? My flux is decreasing towards 0. So even this magnetizing current is also going to decrease to 0. So this is 0th point, and exactly this is pi point, and this is, what is this one? Magnetizing current. And again from pi to 3 pi by 2, if you consider this is 3 pi by 2, then what will happen? My flux is increasing in sinusoidal fashion in other direction. So even my magnetizing current also increases. Exactly at this point, this is the magnitude of what? The magnitude of the flux onto the y-axis, right? So there is no need of projection. So the corresponding current magnitude will be coming here. So this is my, you are going to get the shape of I mu in this fashion. Again from 3 pi by 2 to exactly 2 pi, the current is decreasing in this fashion. So my the flux is decreasing. So magnetizing current also decreases in this fashion 2 pi. So the point what I would like to communicate from this discussion is, if you are taking a linear machine where the core is designed with a non-magnetic material, in order to produce a pure sinusoidal flux, the magnetizing current drawn by the transformer from the supply should be also pure sinusoidal. So what is the conclusion we are getting? For a linear machine, okay, for a linear machine, in order to produce the sinusoidal flux, the magnetizing current drawn by the transformer terminals from the supply should be a pure sinusoidal. Are you following what I am saying? Have you understand what I am giving the conclusion? So for a linear machine or with non-magnetic material, in order to produce sinusoidal flux, the magnetizing current must be sinusoidal, and the vice versa is also correct. What is the vice versa statement? If the current drawn by the transformer terminals, or magnetizing current drawn by the transformer terminals from the supply is sinusoidal, then the flux linking or flux producer is also sinusoidal. So the EMFs also sinusoidal. So that means in a linear machine, that means a machine which is designed with a non-magnetic material, in this linear machine, I can say that if the magnetizing current is sinusoidal, pure sinusoidal, then the operating flux is also pure sinusoidal. Or in order to produce the sinusoidal operating flux, the magnetizing current must be also a pure sinusoidal. So both the statements are correct for a linear or non-magnetic material transformer. That means simply air core transformer. So in an air core transformer, in order to produce sinusoidal flux, the magnetizing current must be sinusoidal. Or if I pass a sinusoidal magnetizing current, the flux produced is also sinusoidal. Why I am discussing about this flux shape? Because in order to get a reliable power system, obviously, in order to get a pure sinusoidal EMFs, that means why I am using the term pure sinusoidal, the moment if the EMF is non-sinusoidal, definitely harmonics will come into the picture. Okay, so if these induced EMFs in the primary and secondary becomes non-sinusoidal, if they are not pure sinusoidal, then harmonic content will be presented, because once if the EMF, any parameter becomes non-sinusoidal, if you apply Fourier series analysis, it contain harmonics. Okay, the moment if the waveform contain harmonics, it is very difficult to analyze the system. Okay, because you will have some disadvantages, I will tell you. Okay, if the harmonics are presented, then what will happen, we will try to understand. Okay, so in order to overcome the total harmonic distortion, or in order to reduce the total harmonic distortion, or to get a reliable power system, always these EMFs must be pure sinusoidal. And to produce these pure sinusoidal EMFs in a transformer, the flux linking with the windings must be sinusoidal. And to produce these sinusoidal flux for a linear mission, or a mission whose core is designed with a non-magnetic material, must be sinusoidal. So I mu shape should be sinusoidal, and it is valid only for a linear transformer or a linear mission. For a linear mission, the magnetizing current shape should be sinusoidal. This is valid. These statements are valid only for linear missions. Now, for suppose if you consider a non-linear mission, that means if I am designing my transformer with a iron material, that is nothing but a magnetic material. For a non-magnetic material, the mission or transformer becomes non-linear. Let us try to understand what is the shape of the magnetizing current that is required. So if you try to focus on that, okay, if you are considering a transformer is designed with a magnetic material, obviously we are designing with a magnetic material only, guys, right? Already we have seen CRGO steel, which is iron, right? So that means I am designing with a core with iron material. The mission becomes non-linear. The mission becomes what? Non-linear. If the mission becomes non-linear, then what is the shape of the magnetizing current is of our interest, right? So if you are considering a magnetic material, the mission becomes non-linear. So we need to understand what is the shape of the magnetic material, right? Shape of the magnetizing current. In order to understand, again, if you try to see the BH characteristics of a non-linear system, okay, already we have seen practical transformer BH characteristics are obviously non-linear, because once if all the dipoles are saturated, okay, if all the dipoles are aligned uniformly, we can say that my transformer core is entering into saturation. Okay, after reaching saturation, there is no dipole flux will be produced. Only the flux which is produced is because of I-phi relation. Okay, because of I some external current, you will get a flux. Okay, right? So if you try to see, if I am trying to consider the BH characteristics, okay, if I try to draw the BH characteristics, what will happen is, initially it will start from here. In order to align the outermost orbit, what will happen initially, some current, if I am passing some magnetizing current, according to our state, some flux will be produced. And this flux is produced because of current flowing through this core, or current flowing through the winding. And this flux, whatever the produced flux, what it will do, it will try to align the dipole fluxes. If these dipoles are aligned along the direction of the external flux, then the overall flux will be increases. And even we understand that alignment of the outermost orbits is very easy compared to the innermost orbits. That means in order to align the outermost orbit, the amount of external flux that is required will be very small, or the amount of magnetizing current that is required is very small. That means during the initial period, if I increase the magnetizing current by 10%, the amount of flux produced will be very high. But once if the orbits are slowly moving, and if you are entering towards the innermost orbits, we require a lot of current, okay, or we require more amount of current, because the innermost orbits are tightly bonded, those orbits, okay. Alignment of the innermost orbit dipoles is somewhat difficult, right? So that is the reason, if you see the exact graph, what you are going to get is, initially the increment will be very high, and after that increment will be slowly decreases, and after that it will enter into a knee point or operating point. Let us assume this is the point, knee point, where all the dipoles are completely aligned uniformly. Once if all the dipoles are completely aligned uniformly, here there is no dipole flux, okay. So the dipole flux will be constant. There is no further increase in the dipole flux. Okay, from year to year I can say that, okay, as current is increasing, my flux increases, that external flux. This external flux will try to align the dipole flux, so the net flux will keep on increasing. But once if this region, okay, let us assume this is the point where innermost orbit is reached, okay, this is the point where innermost orbit is reached. So once if I reach the innermost orbit, the rate of increment of flux will be very less, okay. So because it requires more amount of current, and once this is the point where I can consider as a knee point where all the dipoles are completely aligned uniformly, so that what will happen, so almost you are going to get a horizontal graph, but don't draw horizontal graph, okay. So you are having a slight increment in the flux. This slight increment in the flux is because of a dipole flux, or is it because of I phi relation? It is because of I phi relation. So this is my I, HRI, to be precisely magnetizing current, and this is my BR flux. Are you following what I am saying, guys? So this is the shape of what? This is the shape of BH curve of a non-linear machine, or a transformer with iron material, or core is designed with iron. Have you understand this point? Right? So the same shape will be coming here also. I am not going to draw the entire loop here. Okay. So you are going to get the same shape. If I try to copy this, sorry. So this is the shape, right? So if I try to, yeah, this is the shape of my interest. What I am doing is I am trying to rotate this one exactly 180 degrees, so you will get the same shape. Let me move here. Yes. Are you following? Right? So the same shape will be coming over here in this direction. Yeah. Now, why I am drawing this one is, as we know, by seeing this BH characteristics of a nonlinear machine, you are going to get a nonlinear BH characteristic. That means the slope is continuously changing. Okay. So if you see in this region, you will have one slope, and in this region, you will have a different slope. As slope in different regions is different, obviously it is a nonlinear. Okay. Whereas in the previous thing, if you observe, the slope is everywhere is constant or remains same. So that we can call it as a linear machine. Whereas here, the slope of BH characteristics is continuously changing. So we can say that it is nonlinear. Now, what is our interest? Our interest is, in order to get a sinusoidal flux, what is the shape of the EMF is of our interest. Okay. Now, as this is a smooth curve with different slopes everywhere, in order to make the analysis simple, I will consider a two-valued slope function. Two-valued slope function means, if I am trying to consider a two-valued slope function, okay, let us focus on this BH characteristics. Let me try directly draw. This is H, this is B. Let me extend this till this point. BR flux. Okay, and this is HR I mu. Yes. This is HR I mu. Okay. So I will try to consider two-valued function. That means only two slopes I am going to consider. Whereas this particular curve, practical curve, if you exactly take a practical curve, everywhere you will have a different slopes. Okay. So analyzing a different slopes of the given curve will be very difficult. So that is the reason what I am doing. I am considering a two-valued function. So let us assume that initially it is linearly increasing, and after that the increment will be very less in this fashion. Okay. So this is a two-valued function. So even during the previous session classes, I explained in the same way. Okay, because at that time, if I am going in depth into the BH characteristics, you may find difficulty. Okay, during iron losses, I have explained the BH loop, where I am assuming that till knee point it is linear, and after that you will have almost a horizontal graph. Okay, but practically you will have a slight increment in this because of I phi relation. Okay, let us focus on this. Now here, if you are considering this BH characteristics, okay. So initially up to this knee point or operating point, this I can call it as knee point. After this knee point, what will happen? My transformer core enter into which region? Saturation region. My transformer core enter into saturation region. It will enter into saturation region. Let me move this slightly up. Yeah. So it will be enter into saturation region, right? Now in this linear region, what will happen is, if I want to get, okay, for suppose, let us assume that, okay, for suppose, if this is the maximum flux, 100% of flux, if I am considering this is 100% flux, then what will happen to this one? This is almost nearer to this value, right? So that means, can I consider this is some 80% of the flux? if I am saying this is 100% of the flux, because maximum flux is 100%, I am showing here. So obviously this point is very nearer to the difference between this point and this point is less. Let us consider this is 80% of flux, right? So in a linear region, what will happen is, in order to produce this 80% of flux, I require 80% of current. For suppose if I am considering this is 50% of flux. Now in linear region, I can say to produce this 50% of flux, I require 50% of magnetizing current, right? Now whereas if you consider in this region, for a small increment of flux of 20%, okay, 80 to 100 means 20%. This increment from 80 to 100 is only 20%. For small increment of flux, the amount of magnetizing current required, okay, this is very small, right? So for small increment of flux in this saturation region, the amount of magnetizing current increment percentage is large or small? Obviously it is large. Yes or no? Obviously this difference is small, whereas this difference is large. Are you following? So in linear region, I can say they are following in a linear fashion. If I increase the current by 50%, the magnetizing current, if I increase the magnetizing current by 50%, the flux production is also 50%. If the magnetizing current is increased by 80%, flux production is also 80%. But once if you enter into saturation region, then what will happen? For a small increment of the flux from 80 to 100%, the magnetizing current will be very large. The magnetizing current will be very large. Now if you understand these 2 points, okay, if you can able to understand this particular discussion, now let us try to focus on, okay, in order to produce a sinusoidal flux, what is the shape of the magnetizing current that is required for this kind of structure, for this kind of BH characteristics. These BH characteristics are for non-linear mission. That means a mission or transformer whose core is designed with iron material, right? Now what is my interest? Let us try to draw the graph. Let us try to take or consider x-axis. This is let us consider time. This is flux. And what I require? I require the shape of the flux as sinusoidal. So please accept that whatever the shape I am drawing here is a sinusoidal flux, okay? So even though I am not very perfect in drawing the diagrams, please bear with me. So let us assume this is a pure sinusoidal flux. A pure sinusoidal flux. Now in order to produce this pure sinusoidal flux, what is the shape of the magnetizing current that is required? Let me try to draw the magnetizing current here. With respect to time. This is my magnetizing current, right? Now from 0 to 80%, okay, from 0 to 80%, let us consider this is 100% of the flux. This is 100% of the flux and this is 80% of the flux. This is 80% of the flux. This is 0 point. Now from 0 to 80% of the flux, I require 0 to 80% of magnetizing current. Now if I extend this, okay, from 0 to 80% of the flux, I require 0 to 80% of magnetizing current. Okay, since I am assuming this is one slope, okay, linear fashion. So if current is or flux is increased by 80%, current is also increased by 80%. So let us assume this is my 80% of magnetizing current. Now in order to get the increment of 80 to 100% of the flux, in order to get the increment of 80 to 100% of the flux, in this saturation region, for a small increment of this flux, I require a large magnetizing current. I require a large magnetizing current. So that is the reason you will find after this point, you will find a sharp spike in the magnetizing current. Okay, you will find a sharp spike in the magnetizing current. Why you are going to find a sharp spike in the magnetizing current? Because once if my transformer core enter into saturation region, the rate of increment of flux is very, very small compared to the rate of increment of magnetizing current. In order to increase a small percentage of flux, the magnetizing current that is required will be very large. Okay, the magnetizing current required will be very large. That is the reason you will find a sharp spike of magnetizing current after this particular region. That means after linear region. That means it is entering into non-linear or saturation region. Now again the same thing will happen. Now from 100 to 80%, so the same thing will happen or not? From 100 to 80%, the decrement in magnetizing current is also in the same fashion. So that means this is 100. Now if I want to get here, the decrement in the magnetizing current is very large. So it will follow the same thing. So if I try to extend over here, you are going to get a graph in this fashion. Okay. Now again from 80 to 0, it will be decreasing in this fashion, a sinusoidal fashion, right? Now the same shape will be even coming in the negative half cycle also. Okay, so that means the same shape will be coming in negative half cycle. So let us assume that up to 80%, this is 100%, so you will get a spike. So you need to be very careful while listening this particular analysis. Okay, so while listening this particular analysis, so this is the shape of the magnetizing current what you are going to get. So let me use a different color. So this is the shape of the magnetizing current what you are going to get. So now if you observe this shape of the magnetizing current, have you understand this particular point? So because of the nonlinear BH characteristics, okay, because once if you are entering into a saturation region, here I have not considered a deep saturation. If you consider a deep saturation, then what will happen? The amount of magnetizing current will be very high. So obviously, as magnetizing current is very high, it will damage the transformer winding. So here I am explaining this explanation up to some certain value of saturation. Okay, so it is not a deep saturation of the magnetic core, right? So the conclusion what I can able to say from this discussion is, in order to produce a sinusoidal flux, the magnetizing current drawn by the transformer from the supply, is it a non-sinusoidal or sinusoidal? It is non-sinusoidal. So this is one of the very important conclusion you must have to remember. So the shape of this I mu is a non-sinusoidal shape. It is non-sinusoidal. And is it a peaky in nature? Right. So if you see, there is a peakiness is happening. Why this peakiness is happening? Because of this magnetic saturation. Because of the magnetic saturation, you are finding peakiness in I mu waveform. Okay. So it is a non-sinusoidal peaky waveform you are going to get. Peaky waveform. So this is other important point you have to remember. So in a non-linear mission, or if you are taking a transformer whose core is designed with a magnetic material, or if you are simply taking a practical transformer always designed with a iron core material only, right? So if you are taking a practical transformer, in order to produce sinusoidal flux or pure sinusoidal flux, the magnetizing current drawn by the transformer from the supply should be a peaky sinusoidal, or else we can say a non-sinusoidal waveform which should be peaky in nature. It is called a non-sinusoidal waveform which should be peaky in nature. The peakiness in the I mu waveform is occurred because of saturation. It is occurred because of saturation. Have you understand this conclusion? Right. Once if you understand this point, let me try to write that point. For suppose if you are taking a practical transformer, for a practical transformer whose core is a magnetic material, that is designed with a magnetic material, which is designed with a magnetic material like iron. So the mission becomes, is it a non-linear mission or linear mission? It is a non-linear mission. Then what will happen? In order to produce the operating flux as pure sinusoidal, the magnetizing current drawn by the transformer must be non-sinusoidal waveform with peakiness in nature. It is non-sinusoidal with peakiness in nature. This is very important statement you must have to remember for a practical transformer. So since practical transformer BH characteristics are non-linear, so in order to produce sinusoidal flux, the magnetizing current should be a non-sinusoidal with peakiness in the waveform. Right. Now the moment if I am considering this I mu as a non-sinusoidal. So the conclusion, this is the point. So even if you are considering this shape also, okay. So now in order to get a pure sinusoidal flux, so let me take, this is the maximum point. So here I am directly drawing the diagram with only once half cycle. Okay, so if you consider this point, you will get negative half cycle. I am drawing. So in order to produce this up to this, you will have linear graph. So from 0, let us assume x, this is y, this is z, and this is w. Okay, with respect to omega t. So if I project from 0 to x, flux increment is more, but current increment will be less practically if you are taking, because for outermost orbits, a small amount of current is less sufficient to increase the more flux. So you are going to get the current shape in this fashion. Okay, from x to y. So this is 0, this is x, and if you project, this is y. Where is this y? This is y. And where is this z? This is x equal to z point. X and z points are same. Okay. So 0 to x, this is 1, and x to y, what will happen for a small increment of flux? The value of magnetizing current will be very high. So you are going to get a magnetizing current in this fashion. And again from y to z, what will happen? You are going to get the current will be decreases in this fashion. Again from z to w, okay, the decrement in the flux will be more and current decrement will be very less. So this is 0. And I can say W point is again somewhere you are going to get in this fashion. This is my W point. Have you understand? Right? So this is the shape of what? This is magnetizing current shape. So if I reflect these onto the x-axis, you will get I mu waveforms. Okay. So in some textbooks they will give these kind of graphs. You does not remember or you does not require to understand these graphs. Okay. The same thing. What they are doing, they are assuming that the flux should be sinusoidal, and in order to produce a sinusoidal flux, what is the shape of the I mu? In order to get that, what they will do, they will consider this non-linear graph and they will reflect each and every point of this flux onto the graph and project onto this axis. If they project each and every point of the reflection of this graph onto this axis, you will get the corresponding shape of I mu. And what is the shape of I mu? Is it a sinusoidal or non-sinusoidal? It is non-sinusoidal with peakiness in the waveform. Okay, and this peakiness is occurred in which region? Saturation region. Have you understand this point? So this is about the brief idea. Now, if you try to see here, the conclusion what we got is I mu is a non-sinusoidal. I mu is a non-sinusoidal. Once if I mu is non-sinusoidal, whenever if you are considering any non-sinusoidal waveform and if you give that non-sinusoidal waveform to Fourier, the Fourier will resolve that non-sinusoidal waveform into a different components of sinusoidal waveforms. Okay, so he will resolve a non-sinusoidal waveform into different components of sinusoidal waveforms. Out of that, the first component is called fundamental component of that waveform, whereas the remaining all are called as harmonic components. Okay, don't scare by listening the term harmonics. Harmonics are nothing but simply we can say multiple component of frequencies existed either in current or flux or voltage or any kind of parameter. Multiple component of frequencies. That's it. Okay, you need not to bother about or don't scare by listening the term harmonics. Okay, so you will enjoy with the harmonics rather than the remaining analysis. Don't worry about the harmonic analysis. Okay, so I am here with you. So trust me, you can able to understand the harmonic analysis very easily. Right. Now, as I said, whenever if you are taking a non-sinusoidal waveform, if you apply Fourier series analysis, okay, that non-sinusoidal waveform will be resolved into a sum of a sinusoidal waveforms at a different frequencies. Okay, with multiple component of frequencies. Out of that, the fundamental frequency component, okay, is called fundamental component of current. Remaining all are called as harmonic component of currents. Right. So here, in a practical transformer, in order to produce sinusoidal flux, the I mu should be non-sinusoidal. As I mu is non-sinusoidal, if I resolve this non-sinusoidal into Fourier by applying a Fourier series analysis, if you apply Fourier series analysis of this non-sinusoidal I mu, then it contains harmonics. Especially apart from fundamental component of current, it also contains only odd harmonics. It contains only odd harmonics. why I am using the term only odd harmonics? Here, if you observe here, whenever if I apply a Fourier series analysis to any non-sinusoidal waveform, there are two important things you have to understand. If you consider that non-sinusoidal waveform, which is symmetric with respect to x-axis or symmetric waveform, if it is a symmetric waveform, then if you apply Fourier series analysis of that symmetric non-sinusoidal waveform, it contains, apart from fundamental, it only contains odd harmonics. Whereas a non-sinusoidal waveform which is non-symmetric, and if you apply Fourier series analysis of that non-sinusoidal waveform which is not symmetric, then it contains, apart from fundamental, it contains only even harmonics. So when harmonics will be presented and when even harmonics will be presented, if it is, first thing is it should be a non-sinusoidal waveform, and second thing is if it is symmetric it contains odd harmonics. If it is non-symmetric it contains even harmonics. What is the meaning of symmetric? If you consider this I mu, it is a peaky waveform. And what is the meaning of symmetric? That means if you see this second half cycle, this is first half cycle waveform and second half cycle, and this reflection of this second half cycle waveform will be exactly matched with the first half cycle. Okay, so that means, for suppose if you consider so if I am considering this shape, it is not coming. So that means if I try to reflect this particular shape, and if you match it with the upper half cycle shape, then it is going, both are going to be exactly matched with each other. So I would like to say here that the magnetizing current which is non-sinusoidal is a symmetric waveform. It is a non-sinusoidal shape as well as it is symmetric. If you are considering any symmetric non-sinusoidal waveform and if you apply Fourier series analysis, it contains odd harmonics. Okay, whereas a unsymmetric or non-symmetric waveform, that means for suppose if this shape after reflecting is not exactly matched with the upper shape, then we can say that it is non-symmetric. And if you apply Fourier series analysis to that non-symmetric non-sinusoidal waveform, it contains even harmonics. Okay, so that is the point you need to understand. So here, as I mu is non-sinusoidal as well as it is symmetric with respect to the x-axis, if you apply Fourier series analysis, apart from fundamental component of magnetizing current, it only contains odd harmonics. So that means I can say I mu is, which is non-sinusoidal peaky waveform, is sum of fundamental component of magnetizing current as well as the sum of remaining all odd harmonics. Odd harmonics means third harmonic, fifth harmonic, seventh harmonic, ninth harmonic and so on. So third harmonic component of magnetizing current, fifth harmonic component of magnetizing current, seventh harmonic component of magnetizing current and so on. Okay, and so on. Now out of these things, generally this fundamental is not considered as a harmonic. Okay, don't use the term fundamental is a harmonic, fundamental harmonic component. Don't use the term fundamental component of magnetizing current. Okay, fundamental component of magnetizing current. So for suppose if this fundamental component of magnetizing current is having a frequency f, then third harmonic component of magnetizing current will have a frequency 3f. Whereas fifth harmonic component will have a frequency of 5f. Seventh harmonic component of current will have a frequency of 7f and so on. Okay, so that means the frequency of nth harmonic will be equal to n times fundamental frequency. Okay, so frequency of nth harmonic component of current will be equal to n times fundamental frequency. But the magnitude of nth harmonic component of current is always less than that of 1 by n times the fundamental component of magnitude. Fundamental magnitude. Okay, so that means if I am saying this is 10 amperes, okay, if fundamental magnetizing current is 10 amperes, then third harmonic magnetizing current will be less than 10 by 3. Similarly, fifth harmonic magnetizing current magnitude will be less than 1 by 5 times 10, because fundamental magnitude is, I am assuming, as 10 amperes. Are you following? So if I am saying fundamental magnetizing component of current is some 0.4 amperes, then the third harmonic magnetizing component of current will be less than 1 by 3 times 0.4. Similarly, fifth harmonic magnetizing component of current will have a magnitude which is less than 1 by 5 times 0.4 and so on. Okay, almost it will be nearer to, or if you want to precisely speaking, less than or equal to, I can say, right? So what are the 2 points you need to understand with respect to fundamental and harmonics? if fundamental component of current is having a frequency f, then nth harmonic component of current having a frequency nf you will get. So if it is f, you are going to get third harmonic as 3f. And other important point is the magnitude of nth harmonic component of current will be always less than 1 by n times the magnitude of fundamental component of current. And okay, so as if you observe here, out of these things, okay, so this is not a harmonic. Remaining all are called as harmonics. So these are called as harmonics. These are called as harmonics. In these harmonics, which is more dominant? Can you tell me? Which is rich? Obviously, third harmonic component of current. Okay, so here dominant in the sense which is having more magnitude. Obviously, I can say third harmonic component of current will have more magnitude compared to fifth harmonic component of current, of course, right? So that means I can say out of all these odd harmonics, third harmonic component of current is more dominant. Okay, so what is the other important point? Third harmonic component of current. Third harmonic component of current is dominant. So these are the points you have to remember, guys. Okay, so here I am not given the proof of this particular formula as well as this one. So we will try to understand the proofs of these formulas during rotating missions. Don't worry. Okay, here I have directly given these things. We will try to understand the proof of all those things. So what are the 3 points I have explained during these harmonics? First one, okay, total in fact 4 points. Okay, first point is if any waveform which is non-sinusoidal as well as symmetric about some point x-axis, then the Fourier series analysis of that waveform contains only odd harmonics. Whereas if a non-sinusoidal waveform which is non-symmetric, the Fourier series analysis of that waveform contain even harmonics. This is first point. Second point is, okay, as I mu is a non-sinusoidal waveform which is peaky in nature, and as well as it is symmetric in nature, the Fourier series analysis of that waveform contains, apart from fundamental component of magnetizing current, even it also contains odd harmonics. Next, third point is, if fundamental component of frequency is f, nth harmonic component of frequency becomes nf. Fourth point is, the magnitude of nth harmonic current will be always less than 1 by n times the magnitude of fundamental. And last point is, out of all odd harmonics, the dominant harmonic component of current is third harmonic because it is having more magnitude compared to the remaining harmonic currents. So there is no need of considering while doing the analysis of the mission. There is no need of considering fifth harmonic, seventh harmonic and all those things because they are going to less effect on the overall performance. So without much deviation from the next analysis onwards, I am not going to consider the higher order harmonics, or I can say I am not going to consider from fifth harmonic onwards. Our major focus should be on fundamental as well as third harmonic. Okay, our major focus should be fundamental as well as third harmonic. That means from here I can able to again modify the statement that in order to produce pure sinusoidal EMFs in the primary and secondary, the flux linking with the windings must be pure sinusoidal, and in order to produce a sinusoidal flux in a practical transformer, the magnetizing current drawn must be a non-sinusoidal with peakiness in nature, which must contain third harmonic currents. That means my transformer winding has to allow the flow of which currents? Third harmonic component of currents. Are you following what I am saying? Because I am neglecting the remaining harmonics which are less effect on the overall performance. Our major focus should be this third harmonic. Okay, so what is the statement I am giving? Please make a note of that point. So in order to produce pure sinusoidal EMFs, the flux linking with the winding must be pure sinusoidal, and in order to produce pure sinusoidal flux, the magnetizing current drawn by the transformer in a practical transformer should be non-sinusoidal with peakiness in nature, which must contain third harmonic component of current. That means my transformer has to allow the flow of third harmonic component of currents. So that means I mu must be a non-sinusoidal peaky waveform. Which must contain third harmonic component of currents. Have you understand this point? So is the statement is valid for linear mission or non-linear mission? Non-linear mission. For linear mission, to produce sinusoidal flux, what is the shape of I mu? Sinusoidal. Okay, whereas for nonlinear emission, in order to produce sinusoidal flux, I mu must be non-sinusoidal. Have you understand so far the discussion? Right. So once if you understand this discussion, okay, see here, that means if I am adding all these harmonic component of currents to a fundamental, the resultant shape of I mu is what? The resultant shape of this I mu is non-sinusoidal. The resultant shape of I mu is non-sinusoidal with peakiness, with peaky waveform, with peaky waveform. Are you following what I am saying? And in fact, one more important point is, okay, if you are thorough with Fourier series analysis, what we have studied in signals and system, if you apply Fourier series analysis to any non-sinusoidal waveform, it will resolve into different harmonic components. Out of that, this is fundamental, remaining all are odd harmonics since it is symmetric waveform. If you consider every individual harmonic is also again a sinusoidal. Okay, that means this is fundamental is a sinusoidal. Separately, if you visualize this fundamental component of current, it is sinusoidal. Third harmonic component of current is also sinusoidal. Fifth harmonic component of current is also sinusoidal, a pure sinusoidal. Seventh harmonic, every harmonic component, individual harmonic component of currents are sinusoidal. Only difference is compared to fundamental, they are having the different frequencies as well as different magnitudes. But individual harmonic components are sinusoidal in nature. Now, if I am adding those individual harmonic component of currents which are sinusoidal into a fundamental component of current, the resultant I mu which we are going to get is non-sinusoidal with peakiness in nature. Okay, that means for suppose, okay, I will try to explain this. For suppose, if I try to draw the graph, okay, if I try to draw the graph, let me extend manually, right? Okay, for suppose if I am considering this magnetizing component of current with respect to the time, we got what kind of shape? We got a peaky waveform. So that means you are going to get okay, you got this cycle, right? This is my I mu wave shape what you are going to get, right? Now, in order to get this resultant waveform, if I apply Fourier series analysis, it contains a fundamental component of current as well as dominant third harmonic component of current. The sum of these two will give you the resultant current, and this resultant current must be this shape, right? See here. For suppose, if I am saying that this is my fundamental component of current, okay, if I am saying this is my fundamental component of current, right? Yeah. So this is my fundamental. Please bear with me. It is a pure sinusoidal. Accept that this is a pure sinusoidal. So I am saying this is I mu 1 at a frequency f. If fundamental component of current is at a frequency f, my third harmonic component of current will have a frequency 3f. What is the meaning of that? If fundamental component of current is completing one full cycle, then within this one full cycle of fundamental component of current, my third harmonic will complete 3 full cycles. Or if I am saying if fundamental component of current is completing one half cycle, then third harmonic component of current will complete 3 half cycles within this one half cycle. Are you following what I am saying? Now, okay, so now what I will do is, this is f, this is 3f, so it is going to make 3 half cycles within this one half cycle. So let me use a different color. I am trying to draw. So can I see it is making 3 half cycles? This is also 3 half cycles. So you may have a doubt that why I have started from bottom, why I am not going to start from the top. Even you can try to draw in this fashion also, right? You can able to draw 3 half cycles in this fashion. But I have not drawn in this fashion. Why? So the reason is, if you observe here, I need to get what kind of waveform? Peaky waveform. if I want to get peaky waveform, if fundamental is having maximum value, here you will have a peak value or maximum value, whatever it may be. So this is peak value at this instant. At the same instant, even my third harmonic is also peak value only. So if I am adding these two positive maximums, okay, if I am adding these two positive maximums, the resultant is also peak value you are going to get, okay. So this becomes peak. And in order to get a negative peak, of this magnetizing current, the fundamental is also having a negative maximum, even third harmonic is also having a negative maximum. Whereas if I try to draw in this fashion, I won't get, okay, this positive peak of fundamental will not match with the positive peak of third harmonic if I draw the other way. So that is the reason I have drawn in this fashion. If I draw in this fashion, then only I can say this is the correct shape, okay. This is my third harmonic current. It is also a pure sinusoidal but with a different frequency, right? So if I am adding these two things, so you are going to get resultant shape of I mu as a peaky sinusoidal. Have you understand this point? So the addition of the third harmonic component of current with fundamental will give you the resultant shape of I mu as a non-sinusoidal, which is peaky in nature. So this is a non-sinusoidal waveform, will have a peakiness in the magnitude, okay. That peakiness is practically occurred because of magnetic saturation, and here I have explained with a graph, okay. This is third harmonic current, this is fundamental current, and these two will be added so that you will get the peak. Have you understand this point? So this is about the brief idea about the nonlinear effect. So in a nonlinear, if you are taking a transformer, practical transformer, the magnetizing current is a peaky waveform or non-sinusoidal peaky waveform. Now my question is, first suppose assume that the transformer is not allowing this third harmonic component of currents, okay. First suppose if the transformer is not allowing the third harmonic component of currents, then what will happen? If third harmonic component of current is absent, then what will happen? If this third harmonic component of current is absent, then can I say more or less the shape of this I mu becomes what you are going to get? I mu becomes only fundamental, because I am not, in fact practically you will have even 5th, 7th and all those stuff, but they are having less effect. That is the reason I am not considered or shown here, okay. Our major focus should be third harmonic. Now I am saying that my transformer winding is not allowing this third harmonic current. That means if third harmonic component of current is absent, then I can say only you are going to get fundamental. So that means the shape of the magnetizing, resultant shape of the magnetizing current is equal to only fundamental component of magnetizing current. Is this fundamental component of magnetizing current is pure sinusoidal or not? Yes, it is pure sinusoidal. So if third harmonic component of current is missing, then the shape of the I mu becomes, you are going to get pure sinusoidal. Now if this kind of sinusoidal magnetizing current is flowing, then can you tell me what is the shape of the flux you are going to get? Then what is the shape of the flux you are going to get? Can I get even a sinusoidal flux? No, that is valid only for linear missions. For linear missions, if I mu is sinusoidal, flux is also sinusoidal, but it is a non-linear BH characteristics. My practical transformer is having a non-linear BH characteristics. As practical transformer is having non-linear BH characteristics, if I mu 3 third harmonic component of current is absent or missing, then the shape of the I mu resultant becomes sinusoidal, and because of this I mu which is sinusoidal, the flux is also non-sinusoidal you will get, okay. Flux becomes non-sinusoidal shape you will get, because of whom? Because of non-linearity. Okay, because we are having a non-linearity in BH characteristics. Because of the non-linear magnetization, if I mu is sinusoidal, then flux becomes non-sinusoidal in non-linear missions or practical transformer. Have you understand this point? Right, now how to prove this? Let us try to focus on this particular point. Now I am saying that it is a non-sinusoidal, right? If it is a non-sinusoidal, what is the shape of that flux? Will I get again a peaky waveform of the flux? Okay, peaky waveform of the flux, we'll see, right? So previously what I told you is, in order to get flux sinusoidal, I mu must be a non-sinusoidal peaky waveform. For suppose if this I mu is sinusoidal, now I am interested to determine what is the shape of the flux. And I am saying that since because of the non-linearity, flux is non-sinusoidal. We'll see what is the exact shape of this flux waveform, right? Let us try to focus on that. If you try to see here, Let me try to draw the BH characteristics. BR flux versus HR current I mean, right? So, and we have a graph in this fashion. Let me use a different color. Okay, so for a practical transformer, we are having a graph in this fashion. Sorry. Yeah, we are having a graph in this fashion, right? So let me try to indicate these points. Yeah. So this is my BH characteristics of a practical transformer, right? Now what I am trying to see is what is our focus? Our focus is if I mu is sinusoidal, what is the shape of the flux in a practical transformer? And I am saying that flux is a non-sinusoidal, but what is that exact shape? Let us try to focus on that. So for that, again I will try to draw the graphs. Okay. So again I will try to draw the graph. Sorry. Why it is moving? Yeah. So what is the shape of the magnetizing current I am assuming? The shape of the magnetizing current I am assuming as sinusoidal. I am assuming the shape of the magnetizing current as sinusoidal. Right. So let us assume that this is 80% of the current, magnetizing current, and this is my 100% of the magnetizing current. Okay. So this is my 100% of the magnetizing current. All of you please focus guys here. Okay. This is my 100% of the magnetizing current. Let me extend this. Now I need to draw the shape of this operating flux. I need to draw the shape of this operating flux with respect to the time. Okay. See here, let us assume this is 0% and this is 80% of the current. In this linear region, this is linear region. If I am increasing the current by 80%, the flux is also reaches by 80%. Okay. If the current is increased by 80%, I can say the flux is increased by 80%. Right. So for this 80%, I can say that the flux is also increased by 80% in a sinusoidal fashion because it is a linear graph. Now from 80 to 100, 80 to 100, right? So 80% to 100% means, okay, this is 80. Let me assume that this is 100%. Don't say this is 100% guys. Okay. So this is, assume that this is 100% of magnetizing current. Now to get 100% of, for 100% of magnetizing current, can I say, obviously, I am saying that this flux is, what is this flux? Let us assume this is 100% of the flux. Maximum flux I am considering as 100% of the flux as I explained in this graph. Okay, previously we have considered this one. This is 50%, 50. This is 80 and this maximum value I am considering as 100%. Right? Now if you try to consider again, this is 100% of the flux, maximum flux, and this is 80%. For 80% of the flux I require 80% of magnetizing current. Now for 100% of the flux I require very huge amount of current. Why? Because of saturation. Because of saturation, I require very huge amount of current. But here I am saying that my current is only 100%. For 100%, can you tell me what will happen to this flux? Can I say is this flux is also increased by 100%? No. So this variation, the increment in the flux from 80 to 100% increment of magnetizing current. That means for a 20% increment of magnetizing current, the flux will not increases to a 20%. Why? The flux will not increases to same 20% if magnetizing current is increased by 20% because my transformer is entering into saturation region. Once if the transformer is entering into saturation region, the rate of increment of flux is very, very small compared to the rate of increment of current. If current is increased by 20%, don't say that the flux will be increased by 20% in a saturation region. So in fact, if you practically see, I can say that this increment in the flux will be varying in between around 1% to 2%. That means I can say at this point the flux will be around 81%. Okay. So that means if the current increased by 20%, the flux may increase by almost 1%. That means can I say from 80 to 81% increment means only 1%. If I neglect that 1%, I can say that, I can able to say that the flux will be almost constant. Even from 100 to 80% also again the flux will be almost constant. Again from 80 to 0 again it will be in the linear region, so the flux is also decreased from the same 80 to 0. The same shape will be coming in the bottom cycle also. So till this point, and after that you will get, let me extend this. Are you following? Right? So the conclusion what I would like to say from here is, have you understand this point? For suppose if third harmonic, dominant third harmonic component of current is missing in I mu waveform, then the resultant shape of the flux becomes a non-sinusoidal. And what is this shape, guys? So let me use a different color. So if you clearly observe this shape, I can say that this is a non-sinusoidal shape or sinusoidal shape. This is a non-sinusoidal shape. And in fact, can I say it is called flat topped in nature? It is a non-sinusoidal with flat topped in nature. With flat topped in nature. Flat topped in nature. So this is the other conclusion what we are getting from this discussion. So what is the conclusion we got? Whenever if the I mu is pure sinusoidal, then the shape of the flux in a practical transformer is non-sinusoidal flat tapped in nature. Non-sinusoidal flat tapped in nature. So now the moment if I am considering a non-sinusoidal flux, and if I apply the Fourier series analysis for this non-sinusoidal flux waveform which is flat tapped in nature, again it contains harmonics. Right? So that means what will happen? What will happen as my flux is non-sinusoidal, which is flat topped in nature, and in fact, can I say, is it symmetric? This flux waveform is symmetric or non-symmetric? Obviously, this shape, if I reflect onto the x-axis, okay, the same shape will be coming in the upper cycle. So we can say that the flux is symmetric, okay, as it is symmetric, and if I apply Fourier series analysis to this flux waveform, if I apply a Fourier series analysis to this particular flux waveform, again apart from it contains fundamental component of flux, it will also contains harmonic fluxes. Okay, so that means if I resolve this contains fundamental component of flux, third harmonic component of flux, fifth harmonic component of flux, all those things. And again out of these things, so the dominant one is third harmonic flux. Are you following what I am saying? Right? So whenever if this I mu is sinusoidal, if I mu is sinusoidal, then the flux becomes non-sinusoidal with flat tapped in nature. And if you apply Fourier series analysis, it contains fundamental component of flux, third harmonic, and all odd harmonic component of fluxes. Okay, all odd harmonic component of fluxes is going to happen. Now if you try to see here, okay, so if I add all these harmonic component of fluxes to a fundamental, the resultant shape of flux is flat topped. Okay, the resultant shape of flux is flat topped. That means if I try to draw the graph, with respect to the time, so I need to get what kind of flux? A flat topped flux in this fashion. I need to get a flat topped flux in this fashion, right? In order to get a flat topped flux, let me add fundamental component of flux and third harmonic component of fluxes. So if I am adding a fundamental component of flux, so fundamental component of flux is sinusoidal. Third harmonic component of flux is also sinusoidal. If I am adding those two component of fluxes, the resultant is flat topped, which is non-sinusoidal. Let me try to see here. So what I am doing, I am trying to consider a fundamental component of I am considering a fundamental component of flux. So this is my fundamental component of flux, which is sinusoidal. Now what is the shape of the third harmonic flux I have to choose? Do I need to start? Third harmonic flux will make 3 half cycles within this 1 half cycle of fundamental component of flux. But do I need to draw the third harmonic flux in this direction or downward direction? I need to draw in this fashion. Okay, this is first, this is second. Then what will happen? If you try to observe here, this is the peak value of the fundamental component of flux, whereas this is my third harmonic flux and this is my peak value of the third harmonic flux. Now if you observe here you will have for fundamental positive peak is there, and for third harmonic negative peak is there. So what will happen to the resultant? These two will get cancelled and you are going to get flat top. Don't draw in this fashion. If I am drawing in this fashion, then what will happen? You are going to get positive peak and for the fundamental as well as positive peak for the third harmonic. So they will aided and you are going to get resultant peakiness. But I am going to get what shape? Flat topped flux. So the shape of this third harmonic flux will be in this fashion. Whereas if you observe the shape of third harmonic currents, okay, if you observe the third harmonic current, it will be downward direction from here in order to get peakiness. Okay, so whereas this is positive peak, if you observe here, this is positive and this is positive, both will be added and you are going to get resultant peak. Whereas here, this is positive peak, whereas this is negative peak, so they will subtracted and you are going to get almost flat topped waveform. So this is my resultant shape of the flux. Have you understand? So what is the disadvantage of containing these fluxes? That means if you try to see here again, if you are taking a transformer, then what will happen? So if you are considering this is my transformer core on which I have wounded a winding. Okay, I have wounded a winding. Right? So let us assume this is connected to a pure sinusoidal voltage source. Okay, and here I am assuming that this magnetizing current is sinusoidal. The moment if this magnetizing current is sinusoidal, the flux linking with the winding, is sinusoidal or non-sinusoidal? It is non-sinusoidal with flat topped in nature. Okay, so let us assume this is my secondary winding. The moment if this flux is non-sinusoidal, which is flat topped in nature, it contains fundamental flux as well as third harmonic flux. Yes or no? It contains fundamental as well as third harmonic flux. So the fundamental flux will be linking with this winding. If the fundamental flux is linking with the winding, you will get fundamental induced EMF in the primary. As well as if third harmonic flux is linking with the primary winding, you are going to get third harmonic induced EMF. So that means in this primary winding, it contains two EMFs. Because of fundamental flux, one EMF will be induced. Because of third harmonic flux, you will get one more EMF. Similarly, the same flux will be linking with the secondary winding. Secondary winding fundamental flux plus secondary winding third harmonic flux. So what will happen to the resultant shape of the EMFs, guys? The resultant shape of EMF in the primary winding and secondary winding becomes what shape you are going to get? You are going to get non-sinusoidal waveforms. So the conclusion is, whenever if the flux is non-sinusoidal, then definitely the resultant EMFs are non-sinusoidal. Now can I able to give these kind of non-sinusoidal EMFs in the power systems? No. We cannot able to provide these kind of non-sinusoidal which contain harmonic component of current, harmonic component of voltages to a power system, because my power system contain total harmonic distortion, harmonic content will be more. So we cannot able to provide these kind of things. In fact, I cannot able to supply these kind of non-sinusoidal EMFs to a practical loads. Are you following what I am saying? So the conclusion what I can able to say from this discussion is, the conclusion is, if you are considering a linear machine, if you are considering a linear transformer, air core transformer or ideal transformer, then I can say that if the magnetizing current is sinusoidal, the flux becomes sinusoidal you are going to get. Okay, or if flux is sinusoidal, I can say that the magnetizing current is also sinusoidal. So the shape of the EMF becomes sinusoidal. Whereas if you are considering a non-linear core or non-linear machine, then if in order to get a sinusoidal flux, the magnetizing component of current must be non-sinusoidal. And what is the exact shape? Is it a peaky waveform or a flat topped waveform? It is peaky waveform which contains dominant third harmonic component of currents. Whereas if the magnetizing component of current is sinusoidal, that means if the transformer is not allowing the flow of these third harmonic currents, then I mu becomes sinusoidal. If I mu is sinusoidal, then the shape of the flux becomes a non-sinusoidal. But is it a peaky waveform or flat topped waveform? It is a flat topped waveform. Are you following what I am saying? That means in order to get a reliable power supply, or in order to supply the induced EMF to the external loads, or in order to connect the transformer secondary terminals to the external load, always my magnetizing component of current must be a peaky waveform or a non-sinusoidal peakiness waveform which must contain the flow of third harmonic currents. So the flow of third harmonic component of currents in the transformer primary winding is very, very important in order to produce pure sinusoidal EMFs. If third harmonic component of current is not allowed by the transformer primary winding, then the shape of the flux is flat-topped, non-sinusoidal flat-topedness in nature, and the resultant shape of the EMFs becomes non-sinusoidal. Okay, the resultant shape of the EMFs becomes, in this case, what will happen to the EMFs? The EMF becomes non-sinusoidal. The EMF becomes non-sinusoidal. Whereas in this case, what is the shape of the EMF you are going to get? The shape of the EMF becomes sinusoidal. Okay. Now here, before going to discuss one point, I am giving a very small task to you. You can try to think about. Here I am saying that the EMF is non-sinusoidal, right? Now my question is this EMF induced, which is non-sinusoidal, is a peakiness waveform, or will you get a flat-topped waveform, or will you get a different shape of the waveform? I am giving a task to you. Previously I told you that in this case I am proving that by seeing this particular diagram, I am saying that if I mu is sinusoidal, flux is non-sinusoidal, but it is a flat-toppedness in nature. Similarly, here I have shown that here if you try to see here, if the flux is sinusoidal, I mu is non-sinusoidal, but it is a peaky waveform, right? Now my last question for you is, what is the last question? For suppose here as flux is sinusoidal, I am going to get EMF, as I mu is non-sinusoidal, flux is non-sinusoidal, so EMF is non-sinusoidal. Now what is the exact shape of this non-sinusoidal EMF? Will you get a peaky waveform of the EMF, or will you get a flat-topped EMF? Okay, I am giving a task to you. Try to think about that and let me know the answer. So this is about the brief idea. Once if you understand these points, all these points, now it is very easy for us to what will happen, how these harmonics contents will affect on the performance of the transformer. Will it affect, or do I need to take care about any design constraints or operating constraints because of the presence of the harmonic contents? We will try to discuss all these points in the next session. Thank you. All the very best.